Welcome to the Mike and JD Show YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I want you to do me a big favor before you check out this clip. I want you to hit the like button. I want you to throw in a comment and make sure you're a subscriber to this channel. And then I want you to share this video with your friends. Help us defeat the algorithm. And then if you like this content and you appreciate this content, please head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show and support the show. That is how we actually get funded to be able to do this. So we thank you very much for being here. And now enjoy the clip.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A made, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. A made, no rain from the track.
I want to get your take on this as somebody that watches TNA occasionally.
Yeah.
They seem to have your interest a little bit with their return and Hard to Kill and of course the Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay match. But they went ahead and fired Scott D'Amore and Ed Nordholm, the guy that kind of brought them to this point. And they put a stooge in his place, Anthony Chichone, and a guy that used to be on their television show called Dr. Ariel is now taking over as kind of like the head of production or head of creative there. And
is Dr. Ariel Tommy Dreamer's real name, or?
No. So Dave reported that Dreamer was head of creative, but Dreamer wanted to get out in front of it. He's like, he saw that, Big Con and PCO were wrestling and No Surrender. He's like, hold on, guys, that fucking wasn't me.
Yeah.
That was not me. I am not the head of creative. I have a boss. So he wanted to come out and make sure that everybody knew that he was not the one booking this shit. So Scott D'Amore booked No Surrender. And then after that, I guess it's going to be the creative team running it through Ariel Schnurner. However, I can't pronounce his last name. But that's what it looks like going forward.
So when I first seen the news, my first thought was to text you and say LOL TNA, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, because I don't watch weekly, I don't watch a lot of wrestling weekly. I mostly pick big matches. And over the last, year and a half, maybe 2 years, a lot of those big matches were starting to come from TNA, and a lot of them were Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
I was getting really excited about TNA being a viable third option where younger talent could go and develop, and TNA could really build themselves back up because they were a good spot. They were becoming a very good spot. Scott D'Amore was very much that guy. He was the one figurehead in American wrestling, at least, and maybe in all of wrestling, that any fan who watched the product loved the guy. There's a lot of AEW fans who say, oh, God, Tony Khan's on his shit again. Most WWE fans, or just wrestling fans in general, have despised Vince McMahon for decades. Even Bushiroad over in Japan, a lot of people are not liking what they're doing. Nobody had anything bad to say about Scott D'Amore. The talent, the fans, everybody involved was loving what he was doing in TNA. And honestly, I hope it works out for him, but I don't see it going well. I hope the creative team they have can keep the ball rolling in the direction that he had it going, but that is such a bonehead move.
Yeah. You know what? Scott D'Amore and Lou D'Angeli. Lou D'Angeli is kind of like their live events coordinator. And I think they did a really good job of being able to make their show bigger, despite the fact that their creative had not been good for a long time. Basically, they were just getting towards these really good matches, and they were trying to have really good matches, but the stories just were not all that compelling. It was very paint by numbers. And so you can overcome some bad storytelling with really good matches.
Yeah.
You can overcome bad matches with really good storytelling. Ideally, you would like to have a little bit of both, and they were missing both ingredients because there were like these ebbs and flows of the company. But I would say since Don Callis left, who was kind of like they're probably the most creative guy in that room. It had been kind of paint by numbers. So they had a lot of really cool stories when Callis was there. And then once he left and he went to AEW, it kind of went downhill a little bit creatively. Now, once he left, Scott D'Amore was able to bridge the gap with New Japan, right? He was able to bring New Japan back in as a partner. Which led to some really like cool and exciting events and really cool matches and stuff like that they were able to put together. Okada comes back, Ospreay comes back, Tanahashi did some matches for them, did some world title matches. So he really did bring it to where it was at with just his deal making abilities, and with just having a roster that was super hungry and wanting to fight for him. You know what I mean? And they have removed that, and I think that's sad.
Scott D'Amore seemed to build the bridge between every company possible, because he would have New Japan guys work with him, he would have AEW guys work with him, and then he'd send his women's champion to the Royal Rumble at WWE. Yeah. The guy was willing to work with, and it seemed like everybody was willing to work with him. That's just a good guy to have around. I wish that they could have just spent more time and figured out what was going on, make it better, find some common ground. I don't know if we'll ever get the real truth, because one side's going to say this, the other side's going to say that. But it just seemed like it would have been in the best interest of all parties to figure out a way to make this work. Personally, I think Scott D'Amore I think he's got a small indie promotion. I think on the indies, there's been a gap for an Evolve type company that's not, it's not AEW, not TNA, not looking to make TV, but still holding big events that can help young talent get to the next level. He seems like the perfect guy to do that.
Yeah. Well, he has Border City Wrestling. It's been, an indie for a long time, and now he can kind of focus on that. He owns that promotion. They have their own wrestling school. It's Josh Alexander is the lead trainer for, which means you're probably going to crank out some pretty good talent. Yeah. So, and a lot of great talent to come through that school. Like he's a really good trainer, and which is why he's so close to all these wrestlers, is because like he hires a lot of people that he personally had like a hand in training and booking and things like that. So I could see him just kind of going back. Look, he's independently wealthy. I could see him putting some money into Border City Wrestling, and I don't see him like starting. I don't see him like running opposition. Meaning, like, I don't see him like doing something like an NWA or a MLW or something like that. But I could see him absolutely like doing big things at Border City, doing some shows in Detroit and Windsor that John Muse will likely go to.
Yeah, like I said, there's that gap there in the indie wrestling scene right now for the bigger indie shows.
Yeah,
and the guy's built up a lot of, I don't know, good credit or whatever with the wrestling talent. Everybody seems to like him. I could see some people willing to work for him if their contract comes up in TNA. Not going to be anything where it's a permanent job for him, but say somebody like Jordan Grace, somebody like Josh Alexander. If they're not going to make the jump immediately to AEW or WWE, if you're the company at TNA, if you're Anthem, you've got some ground to make up with these people, because all reports are a lot of them are not very happy right now.
Yeah, they all wrote a bunch of them got together to write like a letter to Leonard.
They did a letter writing campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like there's some folks online in like one of the TNA Facebook pages that I follow. I post my shit in there sometimes. And they did a change.org. It's like, I don't know, is that legal in Canada? Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, can that, like, they signed a petition online to get Scott D'Amore hired back. And I talked about it earlier today on Brace for Impact, which is actually out on patreon.com. So go to patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show. I think we did like, I covered this topic this morning. I was just curious to what you had to say. But they essentially merged over into this Anthem Entertainment group under this Chon guy. Yeah, we're gonna call him Anthony Chon. That's what we'll call him. Yeah. Fans of American Me will understand that joke. So some of the older guys who've maybe seen American Me know exactly what I'm talking about. So Chon put everybody under this umbrella, and they kind of revamping things a little bit. And really what they're looking for is like, they're calling it efficiency. They're using these buzzwords. They're going to streamline things. They're just going to do budget cuts. So essentially we're going to have like similar creative stuff with, with a slashed budget. They're probably going to strip it down quite a bit. Joe Lanza talked about it on his show last night. He's got some connects inside TNA. They're not making money. They really just get a budget from Anthem. And that's how they produce their television show, is just based off of a budget, because they don't have a rights fee per se. So they're not really making any money. Their money comes from all of their international deals and their YouTube and TNA Plus, which they're probably not getting much out of. Their pay-per-views, although Hard to Kill did over 30,000. So you're probably looking at a pretty good chunk of a good number there, like a good dollar figure amount there. But they're not really making a ton of money, so they're probably spending much more than they're actually raking in. So they're not, and they just kept asking for money despite not bringing in the money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sucks for them. I can see their budget getting slashed. I can see some contracts getting cut. I think it's going to be a tough next quarter here for TNA.
Yeah, pretty much all of the last half of last year, I was praying for Will Ospreay, sign there. Mercedes, sign there. Okada, somebody, get a big name. Get CM Punk. Man, am I glad that didn't happen now. Because, those contracts probably wouldn't have been cut because they would have been the most valuable. But seeing one of those big stars in a stripped down TNA would have been a sad sight to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The whole thing sucks, and it sucks for my podcast. Hold on, Stephen Patrick in the chat says, I read that AXS TV is looking to rebrand as well. Yeah, I read PW Insider had that earlier today. I don't know what that means. But I did feel like that was the most interesting part of that story, that AXS TV is looking to rebrand. But I don't even know what that would mean, because we thought that, so TNA did the rebrand. We thought they're overhauling their production studio, but apparently that money just went nowhere because it looks exactly the same. They just hired a new graphics department. So I don't know what they would do with AXS TV. My idea, and I had this whenever TNA was announced that they were relaunching. I was like, AXS needs to call up Paramount and said, hey, look, guys, you're not using the name Spike TV. Let us just buy the name Spike TV. Right. And we will do like a barter deal or something. Like, we'll give you our REO Speedwagon videos that you can put on your shitty VH1, and just let us have the name Spike. And then AXS TV could be rebranded to Spike TV. I said last year they should do that. And now I do know that one member of their creative team follows me, and we have DM'd before, and maybe he took that idea and presented it to the AXS TV bosses. I don't know. But if that does happen, I am taking complete and total full credit for it. But I think that Spike TV was an awesome channel. It was perfect for guys like me, just like dudes who like to watch like dude shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a very toxic masculinity channel, and I think we need to bring it back.
I used to watch 1,000 Ways to Die and Mansers on there. Did you ever watch Mansers? That show was fantastic.
And they actually had some like really cool documentaries on there. Like one of my favorite Muhammad Ali documentaries called Facing Ali was from Spike TV. I just thought that was good. Yeah. So I think that's where they go. Like that's what they should do. Now I don't know. I don't feel like they got that kind of balls, but hopefully.
No. Is AXS TV, I feel like the only thing aside from wrestling I've ever seen on there is like music related docs or like music concerts. Do they do anything aside from that? No.
So it's like it's music game shows. Like they have Cash Cab, and then like they have Eddie Trunk going to concerts and giving out concert tickets. They got like best of the 80s, best of the 90s. They got, so the one thing that did come out today was that Eric Young is going to be hosting a TV show in there called something about Vinyl Rescue or something, where he's going to go around and look for like records. So he's going to be doing that, like looking for, I don't know, just going around all these antique shops or something and looking for records. But
that's the kind of stuff that the demographic that TV channels really want to see, right?
Yeah,
that's
if you
your
go
18 to 31 or 18 to 49 graphic right there.
Yeah, they're going for the Joe Biden Donald Trump demo as well, and I think they got it nailed down. Just like people falling asleep at their TV because they're watching Sammy Hagar videos at like 9 in the morning, and they go to bed at 6, and hopefully they leave on the TV long enough to keep Impact going.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I don't know. AXS TV really needs to decide what the channel wants to be and where TNA fits in that. Going back to Scott D'Amore, I think I texted you this as soon as the news broke, but like without Scott D'Amore, TNA is probably just a tape library on Peacock right now. And honestly, if they're going to be making budget cuts, if they're not making money, I could still see that happening in the future, or maybe just the tape library that Tony Khan owns. I mean, WWE is not the only player in terms of buying tape libraries anymore. I could see Tony Khan wanting to buy them and being a part of whatever they do with Warner in the future. But you've got to decide what you want to be. And with the way the media landscape is shaping out this year, you got to decide pretty fast.
I think they just want it to be like the way that Sinclair treated TNA or treated Ring of Honor. They just want it to be cheap programming for their stations, because they're not going to get rid of their stations, because the stations, that's Anthem. they have a bunch of different like small channels that on barely any cable, properties, and TNA is number one on all of them. Like they have, game TV, and they used to be on the hunting channel called Pursuit. They used to be on there, but they're on Fight Network in the US and in Canada, and they have a fantasy sports channel, and I think Eric Young hosts a show on there like about like fantasy hockey or something like that.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of channels, and TNA is like number one on most of those channels, so that's why they like it. They just don't want to spend any money on it anymore. They want to get the budget under control, because they were like, they're not, because
are any of these Anthem channels on any streaming services like YouTube TV, Hulu Live, any of that?
No. So they Sling, I believe, and Philo is what they were on, and then I know I just canceled my Spectrum again, but they were on like Spectrum. You can get the Spectrum app, and I had the Spectrum app here. So they were on that. So they just let's see, Twan Mac here in the chat says Verizon dropped access on January 1st. Yeah, so they just lost Verizon Fios, which they covered a part of the Northeast. So that's pretty tough there. But they did get expansive coverage on Xfinity, so they're on Xfinity in a lot more markets. So I don't think that they just dissolve it completely, because Scott D'Amore offered to buy it and they turned him down. Yeah. They didn't even make a counter offer. They didn't even provide what their number would be. They just said no. So that doesn't mean they wouldn't be willing to sell, because I bet if somebody came with a strong offer, they would sell it. But you would have, if you're going to make a strong offer, it would have to be more than just a tape library. You would be buying something that you think is viable, that is going to make you money long term, and which means you're going to be running live events and hoping to get a TV deal. That would be the only reason to pay for it at a higher price, right? If you had a TV deal in your back pocket. But they just didn't even entertain it. So let's see, let's go back to the chat. King of the North said they should cut you in on the deal, Mike. Absolutely, dude. I'll negotiate that deal. Hell yeah. Like, who else is thinking of this fucking shit? It's only me. Yeah. Io says 1,000 Ways to Die and Repo Games. Yeah. And then they had Pros versus Joes. You guys remember that show? That was a cool show. I saw Jerry Rice like burning some dudes on there, and like Roy Jones Jr. beat somebody up, and I think so did Tito Ortiz. Yeah. They said make it a movie or a sports channel. Like, you can have both. Like they have HDNet movies, so it doesn't have to be a movie channel. But like on Monday nights, you could have like movie of the week, and then you could bring like Tuesday night fights back, like they used to be on USA back in the day. And then like Thursday could be TNA, and then you can do, if you want to do concerts on the weekends or whatever, you got Invicta FC. They're supposed to be starting up a boxing promotion. Like, I think that would be cool, and they would all be on like a newly revamped Spike or something like that. I think that would be cool. But I just don't find these people to be very serious, and I just don't think that they would invest what would be necessary to be successful.
Yeah, I like your idea, and going back to the 1,000 Ways to Die, I just got to say my favorite part about that TV show was how every person who died on there of some crazy batshit way always turned out to be the hugest dick in the world, and you were rooting for them to die in one of those 1,000 ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring back Spike TV, do it. Like, there's really, I don't know, that kind of TV is missing, and everyone wants that 18 to 49 graphic. There's that demographic there of that 30 to 45-year-olds who are still going to watch live TV if it's the right shit for them,
Dude, I'm one of few people. My wife was like, "Why do you want cable again?"
Yeah.
And like, why do you need to have like a TV guide on like a cable guide? And I was like, I just want to see what shows are on.
Yeah.
And she's like, but you have all these on-demand options. I was like, I know, but I want to tune into the channel.
I have every TV show or movie I could ever want at my fingertips. And I still like pulling up a live guide just to see what's out there. It's how you discover new stuff. I don't trust other people's opinions because people are stupid. I want to find new stuff myself.